All right, all right.
All right. So today we're going to be talking about the one and only Andrew Tate.
I call him Tater Tot.
What the f?
The look you just gave me, that was classic. You're like, wait, what?
I didn't get it.
Okay, so
He looks around the corner. His mate goes to watch out for him in case a guard comes. Doop-de-doo. That's the only footage of his escape. He escaped from jail. He hasn't been seen since. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
the escape is pretty cool.
See you, losers.
Why is he wearing a shirt?
He never wears a shirt.
You do your little buttons up because you don't want anyone to look at you. Don't want to show your little ass flabby chest.
Is he speaking to you? Dad, stop. No one wants to see that.
Your mother did.
Oh my God, Dad. I wonder why y'all got divorced.
Oh!
I don't need to. I'm one of God's favorites. Only a cat-owning bitch would complain to the police about a joke. Fine, you're upset you lost your cat. Fair enough. Yeah, the joke may have been a little bit, risque. Who calls the police on a joke?
Is that Andrew Tate?
Cat owners are liberals. Cat owners believe in hate speech. Cat owners are Democrats. Cat owners are kids.
Was he like a kickboxer or something? Or jiu-jitsu? Or what was his career?
Yeah, he was a kickboxer.
No man is completely and utterly a one-woman man. That's my point. There's a societal expectation which has been placed upon humanity, and then we have a biological and evolutionary imperative, and the male evolutionary imperative is not to have one female. Now, there are some dudes out there who are going to disagree with me, but those are dudes, they got low testosterone, they're not the big G, they ain't got no money, they ain't nothing, right?
See, that's where I think a lot of his controversy comes from.
Right. Right.
He just said that people who contribute in monogamy have low testosterone, and that's just so flawed.
I watched some videos in preparation for this, and it seems that his misogyny comes from the type of girls that he's hanging out with. So, one of his main complaints is that he can't take girls anywhere because then people will know where he is because they instantly put it on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, you're hanging out with Instagram models.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have 4 capable women that work for me, and they're, I have huge respect for them. On the other hand, setting the misogyny part aside, I think I know why he's so attractive to young men, because he talks about the Matrix a lot, and which is kind of a stand-in for just society. Money's not real, courts aren't real, authority isn't real.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see with everything, especially since COVID, how that would appeal. I think he's right on a lot of that stuff.
That's where me and my friends sometimes watch his videos and we kind of agree. We're like, okay, man, I would love to actually follow that advice and escape the Matrix so I don't have to get a 9-to-5. Do what I want to do. I realize how much I have a passion for film and content creation and stuff, so that's why I guess I'm trying to escape the Matrix by making this YouTube channel my career. So I kind of go back and forth with Andrew Tate. I'm not really sure if I agree or disagree with a lot of what he says.
I think what a lot of people maybe don't get is a lot of this is a bit. Mm-hmm. I think he's very intelligent, and I think a lot of this is shock value, and he's just playing a troll.
He knows that that's what gets views.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps him relevant, and that's what keeps him getting money, too.
And it keeps that. I mean, he's definitely a grifter. That Hustlers University, it's just taking money from babies, literally. Yeah. That, you can get rich and get babes if you take this online course, which, I guess everybody's got to make a living.
How did he get rich?
I think from just going on podcasts like this and being controversial, and young men were naturally attracted to his message.
And then he got arrested for running
It sounds to me like it was, those girls that are in chat rooms?
Yeah.
I don't, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I think he ran girls like that. And
that just so happened to be a part of a big sex slave operation or something like that.
I mean,
but they found him innocent, I think.
I mean, they found him innocent because he claims that they looked at all his sources of income and they were all legitimate.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, you know, I don't need to sex traffic. I make money doing all this other bullshit. Yeah, it's very controversial. I like the kid.
I think, yeah. I think going back to our David Goggins podcast, because we got a little bit of hate talking about how I brought up how David Goggins has this mentality of like, don't talk to females, don't focus on any of that. You just need to work on yourself. I think I was actually getting him mixed up with Andrew Tate. I think Andrew Tate spreads that message more so than David Goggins, that you need to don't focus on females. They are toxic.
Yeah, that accent of his is so weird.
What color is your Bugatti?
Yeah.
But any man who's actually in a position of status, since the dawn of human time, every single king, every single sultan, all of them had more than one chick. That's actually the natural human state.
Facts.
No, I don't give a
Describe
fuck.
your ideal man.
My ideal man is Drake, but loyal.
See, this is what you're talking about. He's
Right.
hanging out with a bunch of bimbos, and then he has a very misogynistic mindset. It's like, well, maybe if you found like a good, Christian girl that will settle down, and you'd have a different opinion about women. Because he's hanging out with OnlyFans models. Like, yeah, obviously they're going to be low IQ and not loyal.
Let's not blanket. I mean, there's a lot of Christian women that I would hate to hang out with.
Well, I brought up
OnlyFans.
I brought up Christian as an adjective for a woman that would be loyal, because I feel like most Christian women, I don't know.
Yeah, they be hoes too.
Yeah, I mean, everyone be hoes at some
We
point.
all be hoes at one time or another. Like this, I like this girl with the black hair.
Okay, carry on.
You know the problem with Drake? Let me tell you something.
He's gay, I know.
I know. I've had about 1,000 women say the same thing to me.
What?
1,000 women have said to me, Drake has the hands of the girl.
Oh my
You
god.
can look at a man and see a man's hands. Do you understand me? Like his hands.
I didn't know that.
Look, Google Drake. Put it on the screen. Google. Listen.
See, he is funny.
Yeah, he is funny. Let me look up Drake's hands. He got some baby hands.
Well, I doubt they've done a lot of manual labor. He's just a Canadian kid from the suburbs. I mean, what do you expect?
No one analyzes anything. They just want to get rich, right? I want to be rich, but they have no plan to get rich. And a hope and a plan are very different things. I explain this to people all the time. Everyone has a dream, but no one has a plan. And nothing good is going to happen on accident, right? I didn't become world champion on accident. I didn't wake up and someone go, how'd you become world champion? And I went, oops. You have to plan for it. I know, get rid of
See, a lot of what he says is very true.
Right.
You can take what you want from him and interpret it in your own way, but I think he actually does have a lot of useful advice. I just think he needs to chill a little bit with his bit when he talks about women.
Yeah, and abusing them, and
yeah,
I think he's laid hands on various women.
he's had to. I mean, his mindset is so like just strictly aggressive towards the female species.
Just aggression all around. He's just aggressive. He's an aggressive chap.
Well, he's got to be aggressive, because how are you supposed to be successful with a pussy mindset, Dad?
That's pretty good.
that.
Get
rid of that.
Get rid of that stupid shit.
That won't respect me crap. That's not real.
Is that real?
That's
Really?
not
You know
real.
what? So many women say to me, you're so, Andrew, you know what? You're so rich, but you're smart and you're actually very intelligent. And I know you'd get really bored of a robot. And I'm sitting there thinking, bitch, I wish to God you were a robot.
See,
You better shut the fuck up. We talk about star signs? Oh yeah, I'm so glad. Tell me more about by Sagittarius rising, idiot. I don't give a fuck. Give me a robot.
Yeah.
see, I kind of like him.
Yeah, I did too.
But he is just a douchebag, though.
yeah, he's a douche.
He's such a douche, but he's funny.
Yeah.
He's not in any way like Theo Von, but I think they have similarities in the sense that Theo Von kind of like runs, like he has a certain personality. Same with that guy Sketch, the Yes Brother.
Yeah.
People found out that they like that type of personality, so they exaggerate it. They're very hyperbole when it comes to like the things that they said online.
Right.
Sketch figured out people love that.
You got to have a catchphrase.
So he does it way more. Theo Von figured out that people love him because he's just so odd and
Right.
like says the weirdest, most outlandish shit. So now I think he does it a little more intentional. Andrew Tate found his own niche.
right.
It's
being an asshole.
yeah. So he's even more of an asshole now.
Yeah.
What do you need in the bank to say it's fuck you money?
You need a lot more than money to say fuck you money. That's the whole thing about it, right? Because fuck you money in and of itself isn't a real concept. The whole idea of fuck you money doesn't work if you're still being paid by the matrix, if you're still stuck inside of a contract and your words are controlled. There's a lot of people with a lot of money who can't say what they think. A lot of people with a lot of money who still have to take the injection they're told to take. A lot of people with a lot of money who can't stand up and say, no, that's wrong, I don't agree with this, because they're going to lose contracts, sponsorships, etc. So to say fuck you money, I mean, you have to have enough money to not ever work again, depending on how you earn money. Because I'm completely and utterly self-sufficient, I can't be canceled. So I think my fuck you money number is actually going to be lower than others because my money will never stop.
So, like right there, completely agree. Right. But he also needs to look at, he thinks of that as like, oh, the world is so fucked up because no one can say what they want and everyone's run by the big Illuminati or whatever. But it's like, you have to understand, if you're running a big corporation, you can't just say, fuck females, none of them are smart, because then right. Half of the population's is not going to use your company.
Right.
And then about 25 to 50% of men aren't going to use your company either because they have wives and stuff that don't want them to use it. So it's like, you have to be smart about what you're saying for that reason. That's why you can't just say whatever you want all the time. Like, he needs to think about, it's not so much as people being controlled by the government or the Illuminati. It's because they care about, you know, people purchasing their product and whatnot. But maybe that's kind of what he's saying.
Society as it is, it's not surprising that it's produced in Andrew Tate, right? There has to be somebody representing the extreme on the other side, because I think a lot of people feel like society has moved to the extreme on the other side of ultra caring about people's feelings and using right pronoun, you know,
being
just
politically correct.
Yeah, thank
cancel
you.
Culture. I hate all that.
Right. So he's just gone the complete other extreme, and there always has to be a character like that, right? That represents that, and he's found that niche. He's making apparently a lot of money doing it.
And I mean, I totally agree with the fact of, you know, I don't think anyone should ever be blatantly racist or homophobic or misogynistic, but I do think people are everyone walks on eggshells nowadays. No one is comfortable. There are cameras everywhere. If you say one wrong thing, then you're just canceled immediately.
Yeah.
And I even feel that when we're on, you know, camera and we're talking about a certain subject, I definitely have to put on somewhat of a filter because I'm scared about what the YouTube community might do to my channel if I say that wrong thing. And that's where I think it can be somewhat flawed, because I wish people, you know, First Amendment, everyone's supposed to have freedom of speech, but now that's just totally outwritten and not even a thing anymore. No one has freedom of speech. That's bullshit. And I think that's where it's actually hurting the American public a little bit, because no one can really speak their true mind.
Right. I would say that the whole notion has good intentions, but as usual, people take things too far, and then when it goes too far, then when you're inhibiting creativity, you know, a lot of artists feel like they can't express themselves anymore. A lot of musicians, especially, and
directors. I think that's part of the reason. That's part of the reason Hollywood is dying, because you know, it's almost like some people didn't like Django Unchained by Quentin Tarantino because they were using the N-word too much and stuff. It's like, but it's about slavery in the 1800s. So you have to understand.
They were saying that Tarantino has like an obsession with that word because all of his movies gratuitously use it.
But the characters he's portraying are people who would say that kind of stuff. You want the viewer to not like that character, so he makes that character use that type of profanity. But then again, there's also that scene in Pulp Fiction where he's like, did I see that bleep, bleep, bleep sign on my front lawn?
Yeah.
The dead bleep storage. Like, okay, that's where it's like, dude, you just wrote that line for yourself, and that's kind of fucked up. Right. That's where it's like, all right, dude. So it's like the feet thing. It's like, do you really want the feet in your movies, or is it because you have a foot fetish?
Right. Yeah.
All I do is fight. My life is a fight. What do you mean I'm not fighting a battle? I'm fighting a battle against the oppression of humankind.
How are you doing that?
How am I doing that? I'm the only person who didn't cower out at the beginning of this imaginary scamdemic. I'm out here literally resisting the enslavement of man. What do you think I'm trying to make all this money for? More cars? No, I'm making money specifically so that I am, to a degree at least.
So I said to Tristan, we need to discuss money, we need to plan this, and we need to work out a way we can get rich. And that's when I started analyzing and understanding banks and the credit system and the money system, how the world actually works. And then I got really pissed off because I realized that money isn't real and it's all a scam. And the banks are destroying us in real time with inflation. And I still don't have any.
I think he's right. I don't know the context of what he meant there, but he's absolutely right that the financial system is geared toward deflating the dollar and printing money. Inflation's the cruelest tax because it affects the poor more than anybody.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way. If you're heavily in debt, inflation's a good thing. And you might say, why, Harry? Well, because you're paying back the debt in devalued dollars in the future, in deflated value of the dollar. So you're borrowing before inflation. Inflation goes up, so the money isn't worth as much, and you're paying back the same amount.
Yeah.
So if you're in a low interest rate, it's good to be in debt right now. In any kind of economy that encourages debt is not sustainable. It's just basic math.
Look at his face.
Looks like he's giving a blowjob.
Always going to the BJ jokes.
No, I'm just saying that he would die. He would be offended by that more than anybody.
Oh, yeah. He would be absolutely flabbergasted.
Yeah, the way he talks, it's just so he pronounces every word.
Do you respect women?
Absolutely. Why wouldn't I?
Do you think that 18, 19-year-old women are more attractive than 25-year-old women?
I think there's attractive people. That's a loaded question. I don't know.
Well, it's not really, is it?
I can't.
You know why I'm asking you?
Of course I do, but I can't sit here and
for
say.
the benefit of viewers who don't know why I'm asking, you said this. In general, this is also one of the reasons men find youth attractive. You want to blow up the internet? I'll blow up the internet right effing now. The reason 18 and 19-year-olds are more attractive than 25-year-olds is because they've been through less dick. People say, oh, you can't say that, but yes, I can. A 19-year-old is more attractive than a 26-year-old woman, and I'll tell you why. Because that 26-year-old has talked to more guys, been to the club more times, been effed and dumped more times, more arguments, more mess, more for me to clean up. That is misogyny.
Why?
See, it's the type of girls he's hanging out with.
Yeah. Yeah, like there are plenty of 25, 26-year-old women that haven't been through as much dick as he puts it.
I used to, I think I used to be hung up on that more than I am now.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're still hung up on it.
Well, no, I don't, like, it's hard to say that I just, like, agree, because I know people are going to go ape shit in the comments. But, like, I don't agree. I think there are 25-year-olds who are just as pure, or whatever you want to call it, as an 18 or 19-year-old girl.
Sure. Yeah, I think just law of averages. Let's see.
Yeah. Kind of want to rewind a bit, because
Yeah.
I just feel like so many people are going to get pissed.
Why?
Because we're talking about...
Let him get pissed.
Yeah, you're right. David Goggins' podcast was the best one to date.
I'm telling you exactly what I believe.
Okay.
I'm the one that can be canceled here.
Well, no, what I'm saying is I think there are 25-year-old women that are just as innocent or whatever as a 19-year-old woman if they don't go to the club, if they're not slutty and stuff like that. Now, when it comes to looks, I think 25 is still very young, so it just depends on whether or not that person is attractive or not. I think what he's trying to say here is that 18, 19-year-old women are just like more innocent.
Right.
Which I can kind of agree with.
Sure.
25-year-old women have been through all of college. A lot of them have been through a lot of frat guys. And they're just...
It's just, you're right. I mean, it's a law of averages. If you're 26, then you're more likely to have been with more people.
Yeah, and that...
Regardless of
personally,
gender.
that makes me less attracted to you. Like, I'm currently talking to a girl who's just, like, very sweet. And I know that she's only had, like, one boyfriend in her whole life. And she's 21. So... that makes me much more attracted to her rather than, you know, a chick that's been ran through. And every guy can agree with that. They would rather have a girl that hadn't been ran through.
Like I say, I used to believe that, and now that doesn't really bother me as much anymore.
They're way more likely to cheat. Yes. No. It's like a proven fact that if you've been with way more people, then...
Kind of depends on where you are in life.
Yeah, but your chances of sticking with one person diminish substantially every single time you have intercourse.
Is it true with men too?
Yes. That's what I'm saying. I don't think I'm being misogynistic here. I think it's just human nature. If you've been with more and more people, then it's much harder to settle down because, you know, you've just had so many different type of women. It's hard to finally find one that you enjoy. If you've only been with 3 or 4 women in your life, then the next one's going to seem like amazing to you. If you've been with 50, then they're just going to seem like another girl because people are so similar. It's hard to find someone truly original these days. But you might think that they're much more original than they are if you've only been with, say, 3 to 5 women.
But I know guys that have been with, 30, 40 women, and then when they get married, they're like totally devoted because they have been with so many women and they know that this one is special, I guess. Or
yeah, maybe. The more women that I sleep with, the less I can count on the female gender to be faithful and loyal to me.
So it's jading you a little bit. Like you're becoming more cynical.
Yes.
And less trusting.
Yes. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. The more and more I hook up with girls, the more I realize how unfaithful and how many people cheat and how many people do wrong to their significant others. Even just going on Instagram, it doesn't have to be me sleeping with a girl. It can just be me seeing encounters on Instagram of a girl who I thought was perfect, and then they ended up cheating on their boyfriend. It's so common.
Yeah.
And the other way around, too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, statistically, men cheat more.
Yeah.
So.
Less, more for me to clean up. That is misogyny.
Why?
Because you are encouraging a mindset about 25-year-old women that makes them sound out to be infinitely less desirable than 18, 19-year-olds and having effectively been having too much sex to be taken in a more respectful way.
Well, firstly, even if that was the case, that wouldn't be misogyny.
But what did you mean by what you said?
That's not misogyny because it's not anti-women. I'm saying that an 18 or a 19-year-old woman would be more desirable.
Pretty anti-25-year-old woman.
Anti-25-year-old women, we can argue, but not misogyny.
Well, that's misogyny then, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Well, being anti any woman at all is misogyny.
Not when I'm saying that women are beautiful and attractive at a certain age and saying the age.
You're saying 18, 19-year-olds are more attractive than 25.
Well, than ageist, perhaps, but misogynistic, absolutely
is that
not.
But you just accepted it was misogyny.
No, I didn't. You said it was misogyny. I'm telling you, no, it's not.
I didn't ask you if you believed in it. I asked you if you're going to get married.
One day, absolutely.
You'd like to.
If I'm not married already, I will be married one day. If I'm not.
You might be secretly married.
I could be married, correct.
Why would you not tell me either way?
Why would I advertise to the feral psychopaths of the world who have tried their very best to destroy me for an opinion about my private life and the things that are most sacred to me? Why would I do that?
If you said you were married, everyone would hate you?
I don't, but people hate me. It's about me understanding that I'm a hard target.
Piers Morgan just goes to the absolute wrong conclusion. No. He just said, I wouldn't admit that I was married because he fears for her safety.
Yeah.
And he's saying, why? Because people would like you better? Like, wait, what? Where did that come from?
Yeah, he's just completely taking what he's saying out of context and basically giving like the worst type of scenario that Andrew Tate could mean, but he definitely doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm defending Andrew Tate, but
because Piers Morgan is a cuck.
But I am very, very protective of the people I care about.
Right. But you believe in the concept of marriage?
Completely. That's what we were talking about the whole time.
What do you think?
We talked about a man giving a woman away. Okay. I believe in marriage more than anybody. In fact, I believe in marriage no, please. Okay. I believe in marriage in the traditional sense. I believe a man has a duty to stand up and be a real man. I believe that the problem with the world today that we are facing is that not enough men are sticking to the age-old ways of masculinity. Mm-hmm. I believe that me standing up and saying a man must protect a woman and provide for her, so he needs to make sure that she's safe. He needs a degree of authority to protect her.
I have no problem with...
But people do have a problem with it. That's the world we're in now.
Andrew, I'm over here.
Sure.
I don't have a problem with what you just said. Here's where my problem comes, right? There are a lot of clips of you floating around on the internet, as you know. One of them has you saying, bang out the machete, boom in her face, grip her by the neck, shut up, bitch. In another, you say, slap, slap, grab, choke, shut up, bitch, sex. When people see those clips and hear you say those things...
Agreed.
Well, I don't think that...
There's a whole bunch of men in the world who understands my value, and if men grow up to be like me, you're going to have a whole bunch of people with no criminal record, dedicated athletes, who protect and provide for the people close to them, are fantastic for the economy, and I'm certainly not the worst influence out here, Piers. You have Lil Nas twerking on the devil on music videos, which our children are digesting. Yeah. You have
drill artists singing about stabbing people to death in the middle of a knife crime epidemic. You have rabid psychopaths on whether the right or the left announcing violence on the other side. You have all these insanities in the world. And because I sit here and say, yeah, perhaps. Now you've laid it out and it offended you, I understand.
I didn't say it offended
Okay,
me.
cool.
I just read you the things.
You read things that you said they could be offensive and some people are offended.
Well, some people definitely were offended.
Absolutely. That's fine.
And honestly, I think some of the things you said were genuinely offensive and misogynist.
Okay, so they offended.
See, Piers Morgan just said, well, I didn't say that I was offended. And now he just circles back around. Well, I know I do think that some of the things are misogynistic and offended. Piers Morgan, shut the fuck up.
Did you? Like I said earlier. So they offended you, which is fine. I said they offended you, you interrupted me, and now you're saying they offended you, which is fine. And
Exactly.
But the point I'm trying to make is this. I'm not the devil. There are certainly worse people than me. And
I don't disagree
and they exist.
with that.
Core tenets for the people who don't understand me are self-accountability, so I'm accountable for everything I've ever said. My core tenets are responsibility, so I'm responsible for everything I've said. My core tenets are traditional masculinity to a degree, which involves protecting and providing for women. And I'll make another point. Another point here that needs to be said. The number of women who have stood up and stuck up for me is ignored. Thousands of women are making videos saying, I've met Andrew Tate, he's such a nice guy. I wish I had a man like Andrew Tate who felt responsible to protect and provide for me. You know what? I do belong to my husband, that's why I married him and I love him. We ignore the thousands of women who stood up and stood by me and said everything I said is true. And we're taking a very vocal minority who have taken the things I've said and are pretending to be absolutely and utterly devastated by them for some reason.
All right. Time out.
Sure.
If I had a good phase, grip her by the neck, shut up, bitch. In another, you say slap, slap, grab, choke, shut up, bitch, sex. God. When people see those clips and hear you say those things.
Agreed.
Well, I don't think that it's not hard to misunderstand it.
It is.
You might say that it's consensual. Other people would say, whether it's consensual or not, that's a very ugly way to talk about women.
Completely. Now let's
hitting them with machetes.
No, watch the whole video. It's a girl coming at me with a machete and me saying, here, slap the machete out of her hand. She's attacking me. So you don't understand. This is the exact point.
I do understand.
No, people don't watch them in full. No. And this is actually what's interesting. And please don't interrupt me on this point. Social media has changed in modern times. YouTube 5 years ago was 5, 6, 7, 8 minute long videos. Now we have TikTok, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, YouTube shorts, Instagram stories. Now anything you produce that's long form is cut down to very, very short form. They're interested in clicks, they're interested in engagement.
Of course.
They find the most controversial clips they can on purpose.
You benefit, given that you know it can be misunderstood. Do you regret saying things like this on camera where it can be disseminated by less intelligent young males who think that is actually what they should be doing to women?
And finally, we get to the point of the issue, which is the point I tried to make at the very beginning. When I made a video before I was famous that got 500 views, me being concerned that 1% of people will misunderstand it was not relevant. Where you start getting 5 million views a video, 50 million views a video, 1% of people misunderstanding
it doesn't change what
no, it doesn't. But it becomes a much larger problem.
I understand.
So with great fame comes great responsibility.
Right.
So
I agree.
Would I now that I'm famous, do I say things the same way as I did back before I was famous? Absolutely not.
Right.
As neither would you or nearly any other famous person on the planet.
So
once you become famous, you have to be a lot more careful with how you say things.
I understand. So my logical follow-up to that remains. Do you regret then saying it the way you said it?
I can't live in regret by saying something before I was famous on a camera which barely anybody watched, and then I became famous afterwards. That would be a very asinine way to view the world.
So you stand by all those things?
I can't live in regret because I didn't know I was going to become the most famous man on the planet. Regret would be the wrong word. Is it inconvenient? Sure. But I can't sit here and say, I wish I knew 6 years ago I'd be the most famous man on the planet and monitored all of my speech forever. That's asinine.
He's so right.
He is right. That's what I hate that he's right though, because he is such a douche. But everything he says, he's very smart.
Yeah, he's super intelligent.
And he's very articulate. And I think a lot of what Piers Morgan is saying is like, do you regret what you said? Do you regret what you said? He's like, no, I don't regret it. I regret that 1% of people who watch those videos are too unintelligent to actually interpret that most of what they're seeing is a 15-second clip taken to completely out of context.
And it's a bit. He hasn't said it in this interview, but I think he would like to say, I was exaggerating for a bit.
Yeah, the machete, grab neck, sex line, that was definitely probably him joking it around. And Piers Morgan took it out of context because he probably didn't see the full video. He just saw a 20-second TikTok.
Sounds like you're defending Andrew Tate.
I guess I am.
You're just looking to get canceled. Good Lord.
No.
Sounds
No,
like it.
I want everyone to know.
Sounds like you're. Wait, which camera you look
I
at?
know, I'm looking at all of them.
So we got a big Andrew Tate stand here, folks.
You know, I don't agree with everything he says, but I do think a lot of what he says is true. I do believe in the traditional masculinity aspect of taking care of your wife and providing for them and stuff. I think, you know, toxic masculinity is always way overused. And I think that the female and male genders are completely against each other right now, and that's a huge problem. Divorce rate is skyrocketing. People aren't even getting in marriages as much as they used to. Dating is completely fucked. Girls can't even go on a date without being scared of the guy because there's so many creeps out there. You know, there's problems from both sides. I think if women stayed feminine and males stayed masculine, and we just, I agree with gender roles.
Okay. Well, I
do.
mean,
And I'm sorry to everyone out there that doesn't agree.
but maybe women do feel scared to go on dates with creeps because he's creating these creeps. You know,
That's the 1% of people that misinterpret what he's saying and become some fucking.
well, the one thing that I don't agree with him and people like him, like the red pill community, is this anthropological psychology, meaning, you know, the reason men are the way men are is because of caveman days. Like men went out and hunted and women gathered and took care of the babies.
Yeah.
Which that's true to an extent, but there are cultures throughout human history where the woman hunts and the men stay home. And
What culture would that be?
Lions, for instance.
So, we're talking about humans.
Well, I switched over to the feline community. But
lions, you mean the animal lions?
Yes, lions.
We are talking about the human species.
All right. Well, the island of Lesbos. Amazon's
so a
women.
very, very small portion of the world did things differently.
But there are some like tribes and there are cultures where the women are the exalted one. They're the ones that kind of rule everything. Whereas the Western world and the Eastern world, modern world, has been more man-centric, the patriarchy.
So about
if you will.
98% of the world.
Yeah. I'm just, like, I've listened to Mooncat, and she's debunked this anthropological psychology.
Who's Mooncat?
She's a YouTuber that I admire, and she's super liberal. And so I really don't agree with everything she says, but she does use science. You should look at Mooncat to kind of get the other. But yeah, it's whatever. Amazon, 1%. Lions.
Yeah, what we started talking about. Well, actually, fish do this. So that's my point that's my contribution to the conversation. What the fuck are we talking about? Fish and lions and penguins and.
I'm just saying.
You know, even fucking apes, they eat their own shit.
I was just afraid you were just going down this Andrew Tate love fest, and I just wanted to pump the brakes a little bit.
No, I need everyone to know that a lot of what he says, I completely disagree with. Do I think most of what he says is true, and the parts where he's exaggerating the bit to be hyperbole is false?
Yeah.
That's kind of my outlook on Andrew Tate.
I'll tell you one thing that I do agree with him on is this Matrix thing, because he says that everything is a scam. The legal system, the financial system, the government, the medical system, it's all people just walking into a room and saying things. And he says that most of these people are idiots. And he's kind of right. It's just everybody's just saying things. And whoever says things the most and the loudest, it becomes part of the social fabric.
Yeah.
And he says that all these people also are part of the moral decay, because like if you go to Davos, where the World Economic Forum is, so it's just like all the world elite leaders meet once a year in Switzerland.
Yeah.
He's like, all the prostitutes and brothels are all filled up months in advance. So they're all booked out because there's like orgies and just, he's like, these people are just morally corrupt.
Yeah.
And
they're evil.
And evil. And I don't know. I'm not one of these Illuminati I know. The older I get, the more I kind of think that.
My buddy Alec has always kind of been on like conspiracy theories and whatnot. And me and my friends have always kind of dogged him for it, thinking he's a little like wacko for believing in a lot of this shit. But the more stuff that comes out and the more we realize how much the government is lying to all of us because of technology and social media, everyone's being watched and stuff, the more and more I start to believe in all these conspiracy theories.
I'm with you.
They're a conspiracy theory because there's evidence to support that the main story is actually false.
Do you have an example?
Yeah, I do have an example. Like on 9/11, one of the planes that was supposed to impact the White House was found crashed into a field, and everyone says that the passengers on board did this heroic standoff with the terrorists.
Heroes.
Heroes.
Okay, so
Okay, no, hold on. No, they are heroes, allegedly. But
Jesus,
Dad, bear with me.
The Andrew Tate lover is also declaring that 9/11 victims aren't heroes.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it was very convenient that the plane that was supposed to crash into the White House crashed into a field because they were heroic enough to. And I think that there's a very high chance that the government maybe had something to do with
shooting it down.
Also,
I think
one of the planes that blew up at the Pentagon, there was no footage of that happening. I don't know why that would be convenient because it did blow up at the Pentagon. But why would it's the Pentagon? There's cameras everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it was 2000.
I don't think 9/11 was planned. I don't think George Bush had a play in it. I think it was a complete act of terrorism. But I do think it's very fishy that the third or fourth plane,
I think it's reasonable to assume that that plane was shot down, and you wouldn't want to tell people that.
In that sense, I don't think that the government is completely in the wrong because it would have killed the people on board and a lot of people at the White House. So maybe shooting it down because it would have gone into the White House if they didn't shoot it down.
I'll tell you a conspiracy that I thought was true and ended up probably being true, and that's that the COVID-19 virus came from the Wuhan lab in China. I mean, like Jon Stewart says, you find chocolate in a river south of Hershey, Pennsylvania, and you're not gonna say maybe it came from the chocolate factory. I mean, of course.
Yeah.
And then if you said that, you were banned from Twitter. You were shadow banned.
Yeah.
I mean, think of that. That is
crazy.
That is crazy.
We're living in a world where conspiracy theories are not even conspiracies anymore. They're just like a very possible truth.
Yeah. We landed on the moon.
Oh God, don't get Alex started. Don't get my
Does
buddies. He doesn't think we went to the moon. He thinks 9/11 was planned. He thinks a lot of things.
There were a lot of reasons to fake the moon landing. I'll give him that. It bankrupted Russia.
Yeah.
But the reason I believe the moon landing is real is because there's too many people that were in on it. And when you have that many people, somebody's going to spill the beans.
I don't think we had, see, that's where my statement was about to be controversial. I don't think we have the technology to pull off all that fake shit, but we have the technology to go to the moon.
Right.
If we have the technology to go to the moon, we have the technology to fake a moon landing.
I mean, they were saying that Kubrick was one. They brought him in to do the directing.
What did they say? That the flag was like blowing and there's no wind on the moon or something like that?
Yeah.
Anyways, what were we saying?
We were talking about Andrew Tate, and he just goes between just stark crazing lunatic to, I could believe that.
Yeah.
That's what's so weird about him.
Yeah,
I think that's
fluctuates like a business cycle. I mean, that man.
No, he's pretty consistent, but he's.
No, I'm saying at one point he's like speaking facts and he's actually seems sane, and then the next point he's talking about beating and choking a prostitute.
Right. Just for the clout,
for the bit.
Right.
Anyways, what were you going to say?
I think we figured out Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he'd be fun to hang out with just because I think he's funny.
And he's smart.
Yeah. I think it would be, you have to take him in little bits.
Mm-hmm.
When the way he talks to women is just old. And it's like, you don't,
I agree.
I'm old fashioned. You got to be a gentleman, right? He just doesn't seem like he's a gentleman.
But he tries to say that he is. Like he conforms to the old ways of the gentleman or men just being masculine in general. But when he says he respects women as well. But also when he talks so poorly about them, it's hard to believe that you respect women when you're constantly dogging on them. Like saying that an 18, 19-year-old is way more pure and attractive than a 25-year-old is a little, it's like, yeah, maybe I can see what you're saying, but you also have to understand how so many people could take that in the wrong way.
Right. Yeah.
Don't like him, don't hate him. You know, I think he's just, he's hilarious.
There's a distribution of IQ where you have certain, a small amount of people that are really dumb, have low IQs, and then you have most people that kind of have a middle IQ, and then you have a few people that have really high IQs. And what's interesting is that the people on the real low IQ and the people on the real high IQ have the same views. And it's the people in the middle, most people that have kind of a middling IQ are the ones that are wrong because they just see superficial things. They don't really think about what he's saying. They just get kind of the superficial part of it, and then they just react to it without really thinking. I think a lot of people take everything he says literally, and
he's not being completely literal all the time. I think that's why Piers Morgan kind of has a point.
Yeah.
When he says,
man,
you got to watch what you're going to say.
If I start agreeing with Piers Morgan, just shoot me in the head.
Yeah.
Just throw me out the window. We started this podcast with me being an Andrew Tate stan, then moving to being an Andrew Tate critic and you becoming an Andrew Tate stan. And then now we flip-flopped again to where it's very confusing. This Andrew Tate's an enigma wrapped in a puzzle.
He is an enigma.
All you have to do is go look at the Unabomber's, his writings. And if we read them, you're like, wow, he's making a lot of sense. And yet everybody hates the Unabomber, all those people in the middle, because he killed a lot of people. So I guess.
Dad, what the hell?
I mean, you're the one that says that the 9/11 people weren't heroes. I think, even old Mr. Tate here says that nuance, people just don't get nuance anymore.
Yeah.
And it's a shame.
It's a shame. It really is.
Yes, sir. I think we've pretty much cracked the code on old Mr. Tate.
Yeah. Moral of the story, I think that he's right in the sense that men need to be masculine, women need to be feminine, and we need to conform to the gender roles of providing for the woman. Does that mean that the woman can't work and get a job and want to do what they want to do if they want to? No, of course not. I think that just works the best.
Let me tell you what I think. I think that people should be allowed to do whatever they want to do, but people need to not judge a certain way, one way or the other. In other words, if you want to be a trad wife, be a trad wife, but don't dunk on trad wives. And just like don't dunk on OnlyFans girls. Like I've been around long enough that I know people in both camps, and I've really enjoyed people in both camps.
See, I completely disagree. I think women in OnlyFans are setting a terrible example for all women. I think it's completely... Dad, I'm serious. I think the men that are paying these women on OnlyFans are just so fucked in the head. Like, how could just go on fucking Pornhub? Why do you got to pay these women?
It's because it's a parasocial relationship. They feel like they have a connection.
And that's the problem. They need to learn how to develop a real connection.
I'm not saying it's great. I'm just saying that people should be allowed to do what they want and, leave them alone.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all about leaving folks alone.
I agree in that sense, but when it's become a global problem.
Well, we do have some sort of crisis with young men, and I think that's why Andrew Tate's famous. I think that's why he's attractive to a lot of guys, his messages.
Yeah.
So when we talked about it in the last podcast, it's just there's a loneliness epidemic. There's a connection. I think all of this roots back to social media. I think
it does.
That's the common denominator that's just underlying all these societal problems. And I don't know what to do without it.
What you can do, like what I did about a month and a half ago, is just delete Instagram.
Yeah.
I don't use TikTok.
Yeah.
I don't use Twitter. I don't use TikTok. I use Instagram every day for around 2 hours on average. Now I go on it probably 20 to 30 minutes a week. I re-download it to see all the messages that everyone sent me. I normally don't even watch them because half the time they're stupid memes being sent by my friends.
Right.
But I rarely check it. I re-download it maybe 2 or 3 times a week, and each time I do, it's about 10 minutes, and then I delete it again. And my life has improved.
You actually delete it? You don't just put it in a folder and forget about it?
No, I delete it. Because
why do you do that?
Because you have muscle memory to pick up your phone when you're on the when you're on the can, or maybe you're just on a walk. You have muscle memory to want to just click it. You can just click it and start doom scrolling. But when it's not on your phone, you have to go through the whole process of going to the App Store, re-downloading it, putting in your Apple ID password, and all that takes a minute. And after 60 seconds, I don't even want to go on Instagram anymore. I'm done wiping my ass. I'm done shitting. I'm done with my walk. Right. And so that's why you delete it off your phone. You don't think about it. And then when I really need to use it, say I need to look something up, or because I'm a content creator, I need to check something, then I re-download it. I check all the messages, delete it in 10 minutes. This is just, you take it everywhere with you. I mean, it's literally like, it's like a vape. That's why vapes are worse than cigarettes.
They should put a vape on a phone. Just look at that. Check out that phone. It's pretty cool, huh?
All right, last little quick Andrew Tate video.
Yeah.
Can you believe that chemicals you can buy for $1 that you can't even name, 40 or 50 chemicals that you've never heard of, you can't name, you don't know where they come from, all combined to try and taste like fucking watermelon, that you set on fire electronically and inhale deep into your lungs, the most unnatural chemicals you can possibly think of, produced cheaply in China, is dangerous for you? Can you believe that? That if you set all these chemicals you've never heard on fire, from fucking oil and petroleum and fuck knows what, and you get it deep into your lungs, it might actually be bad for you.
Good point.
That's incredible.
He's speaking truth.
That surprised me like I couldn't believe. I never expected that. I thought, no, surely this unregulated liquid that manages to somehow taste like fucking forest fruits made from literally petroleum. They fucking got it out. What's that thing in school you learn where how they refine oil? What's it called?
Distilling.
Fucking that thing. Something furnace. You motherfuckers know. And they put oil in, and they get petroleum and kerosene and all these different things. And fucking vape. Vape comes out in the motherfucker.
That's a good positive message.
That is a good positive message. But the thing about all the dumbass, the 1% that we were talking about, they're going to take that and not realize he's being sarcastic. I'm serious. There are people that dumb out there that would watch that clip and not realize he's being sarcastic.
I don't think he's being sarcastic.
No, he's saying, I can't believe that it was dangerous.
Oh.
He is being sarcastic.
Okay, you're going like first level.
Yeah. Like retardation.
Right. Well,
like the people out there that are
mentally handy-capable.
I don't care about no Drake.
No, man, we started from the bottom. Now we're here.
He goes, breathe air. I smoke cigars, but that's different. He does smoke cigars, but you don't inhale cigars.
Well, cigars are natural. It's just tobacco leaf. Even cigarettes have chemicals in them that cigars don't. Did you know that? Did you ever think of that?
What'd you say?
Mr. Cigarette smoker? Cigarettes have chemicals in them that cigars don't. Cigars is just pure tobacco. Even the wrapper's made of tobacco
I know.
leaf.
Yeah, cigarette has gasoline in there. It has butane.
Exactly. Who wants that?
It's got fucking butane.
It's got fucking butane.
Okay.
Do you want that fucking in your lungs?
You're not very good at the Andrew Tate. You got to put a lot of emphasis on the O's.
I'm very good at it. I don't know what you're talking about.
Is that Trump?
I'm very good at Andrew Tate. Never seen him.
I walked into a room and I said, wow, this room is big. I looked at Andrew Tate and he was being very sarcastic. I said, wow, he's being sarcastic.
I don't know. You're not very good either. You start good, but you make me laugh. You're funny.
All right, let's end the podcast.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.